David Hance. I am Allied. I am part of Cognitive Gaming, and I'm the support player for the team.
Allied? Complex? It's complexity, right? Okay. Alright, again. I go around the squishiest target on the map, but I can also blow up anybody. So I'm pretty much glass cannon like Neo from Matrix. Like I just go in, yeah.
This week I'm joined by guest caster Allied.
Hey!
David Hance.
I think just the time in my life that really defines me would be generally traveling, going to tournaments. So back when I was a Super Smash Bros. Player, I would travel a lot, different states, all up and down the East Coast, and just hanging out, meeting the people I met, even just playing with the people I met, having all that friendships and really connecting with everyone, making something out of nothing. That's kind of like how I thought about it. Like, I have nothing, let's make it something. I really learned a lot from just traveling around. I really just made me the person I am today. And I think just my lifestyle in general, like I've always been a very helpful person. Like I always try to help people out. I always try to be as kind as possible. Like I'm not perfect by any means, but generally I always try to give a lending, helping hand. Being able to prove to myself that I could be the best at anything I put my mind to really helped me out as a player. And that was like big for me. You get to feel like you're part of something. You get to feel like you're a part of a community. That's what SMITE is like for, right? You get to be a part of something that's bigger than you. It's cool.
Do it. Allied's looking for it. 2 shots from the sky. Third one's gonna hit. He's trying for it. He's lower.
Allied with the penta
kill!
Senpai has done it again.
I feel like you're zooming into my nose here. Like, that's like...
When people look back at your life, how do you want to be remembered?
Just as like, I guess that guy that like could do it, like kind of like, man, like I don't know how he went through like all of that and still like came out on top. Like, kind of like the odds were against him. I just wanted to be remembered as like nothing's like impossible, I guess. Like you could do anything if you really put your mind to. Like, especially for me, like I've had a lot of troubles. Like I have a lot of physical and mental troubles throughout my life, and being able to fight through all of that to be the best person I can be in game and out of game, really, like that's what I want to be remembered as. I want people to be like, damn, he's cool. Like that's what I want to be. That's all.
Damn. He's cool. A year ago, we lost Allied, and we still celebrate him to this day and thank everything that he ever brought to the scene with his entertainment value and just great play. And we'll always be remembered for that. So a little shout out to him, as always. And now it's time to get on with the patch notes. Got a lot of things to go through today. Could be a long-winded one. Let's find out. We'll start things off. A little quick breakdown for you all of what we've got to look forward to. We've got the new event coming up, which we'll be talking about momentarily on the desk. But we've also got item balance, god balance, skins, and of course, finally, the new god will be available for you all to see in person and PTS test, hopefully this weekend. But first up, the skins. We'll start off with one that we saw early on today. Tina gave this one away. Chompy Chibi Fenrir. Going to be available for you all. Oh, that's Tears Puppet! I've not even seen that card. And there's a nice little look at him game too. We'll get more in detail later on, I am sure, but cute as deadly as ever. Next up is something you've all been complaining about for a while. It's the E-United Cucullin skin. Yes, the world champions on PC now have their skin available in game. And we'll have a nice look through that later on. I heard it's got some interesting lines in that one. I'm looking forward to hearing that. Following that, it's Northern Ranger Hachi Man, looking all, well, stealthy and sneaky in the forest. Or, obviously, in SMITE, in the lane. And last, but certainly not least, it's a Loki skin. I'm lying! It's a Cabrakan skin! Fat Loki will be available. Not only will you have one Loki in the game, you can now have 2 on every team. Man Mountain himself, Fat Loki, will be available in the next patch. And we'll look at that a little bit later on. But joining me now on this set is going to be Tina and AJ. Guys, how you doing?
Hey, doing great. Happy to be here.
Happy to be here.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
So, the first thing we've got to talk about is going to be, let me just double check, it's this new event, Divine Uprising.
Yes, we have a very exciting new event coming to SMITE this summer.
What is it?
So, Ragnarok has happened, right?
Yes.
Season 5 began, Ragnarok event, Hell, and a lot of other gods doing some dangerous things, kind of messing up our whole universe here.
Sure.
So, Hades capitalized on that to become all powerful and rise the underworld up. And now we're a little, the world of SMITE is kind of in peril. So we need a hero or a heroine in this case. So the Divine Uprising will be following the story of Bellona as we dive a lot deeper into this character, really challenge her and find out more about who she is. And she will be looking for new gods from new pantheons.
Okay.
To lend their strength to help her become the hero to stop Ragnarok.
New gods from new pantheons, you say?
Yes, that is what I say.
Yep.
Which pantheons? Which
well,
gods?
The exciting thing about this event is that it's going to be tied to the next upcoming gods of SMITE.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
So there will be 3 major parts to the event, 3 chapters. There will be a Slavic chapter, then a Voodoo chapter, and then a Polynesian chapter. Each chapter will release a new god. So first we have Chernabog, who we've revealed, and we're going to be showing his entire kit today. Then for the Voodoo chapter, we'll have Baron Semdi, who will be, all of these information will be in the game. You'll be able to see it in the event UI. And then finally we'll have Pele, the Polynesian... No, the Polynesian goddess of fire and volcanoes.
Nice one.
Oh.
Yeah.
So all 3 of those gods revealed. We're saying their names today. We won't see that much more about them until future updates. But Chernabog full reveal today, and the pantheons and the names all shown for you today, and all will be a part of the Divine Uprising event.
Yes.
Now, this is a story that's been written ahead of time about what we're going to be telling as time goes on.
It's being written ahead of time, and it's really exciting because the guy who actually, so if you guys like Warhammer and like to read about Warhammer fiction and it's Warhammer novels, the guy who's writing our lore right now, Ian St. Martin, is writing, like, he writes like Warhammer 40k novels and
Awesome.
stuff.
So he's gone, and we've hired him to actually write a novel for us, basically.
Well, he's working on a novel that's very exciting, but he's writing a shorter story
it's a
for
short
us.
story for us.
So with each chapter, there will be a piece of story talking about Bellona's journey, and the Chernabog one that Ian wrote for us, and the intro one, are awesome. So they're really fun. They're not too long, but they're really great little deeper dives into Bellona as a character. And
it gives the event some umph. Just
yeah,
so you can
and it
know
ties
what's
it
going on,
together, the gods and the journey.
So with this Divine Uprising, Tina, there's going to be, I believe, some quests that are going to come along with it in each time, right?
Yes. So with each section of, with each chapter, which is a pantheon, so for example, the Slavic pantheon chapter will have altogether 9 quests. So 3 updates for each pantheon. That means for each update, there will be 3 quests. And if you complete all 3 quests, you will be granted 50 gems.
There we go.
Yeah. So
that's the exciting part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Every single player, whether you are purchasing or buying anything in the event or participating at all, every player will get these quests.
Yeah.
And they'll we're doing this in a little more streamlined fashion this time. You won't have to go to the event UI or start anything. You will just play the game, just play SMITE. Whether you participate in the event or not, you will get these quests and you will get free gems.
Yeah.
And we're going to do that for all 3 chapters.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So that's just in quest, but there's also some new skins that are going to be coming around with this as well, specific to this story?
Right. Yes. So if you complete every chapter, so if you complete the Slavic chapter, you will receive an exclusive Chernabog skin, because he is the god that's coming out for this chapter.
Right.
So then you'll have, for the Voodoo one, there'll be a Baron Samdi exclusive skin, and then you'll have the Pele one as well. If you collect all 3 of those, you will be able to get the Bellona.
Oh, there's a Bellona?
Yes, that is the big part of this event. Tier
Yes.
5 Bologna. So split into
Tier
three.
5 skin? Wait.
Tier 5,
Okay.
outside of the Odyssey. She'll transform between her 3 different dragon armors based on
Hell
which
yeah.
weapon she has. So as you're doing her abilities, you'll transform, and not as far as the level up. So that is this big deal. This is obviously something we've never done before. Tier 5 outside of the Odyssey, and a very new way of transforming in the Tier 5.
Yes.
So, we always trying to mix up our events. We want to do things new. We want to keep it fresh. We want to try new structures and new types of content. So we really wanted to go very different this summer.
Right.
Since we were doing all the new gods, we wanted to tie the event into the gameplay, really make it feel complete. So what you have here is 3 chapters. You complete each chapter, you'll get the exclusive skin for the new god.
Yeah.
So get everything from the Slavic chapter, you
Yep.
get the Chernabog skin, etc. for Baron. If you get all 3, then you get the Tier 5 Bologna.
Yeah.
So get all 3 by doing the quests and unlocking through the whole system, and then you're like, okay, cool, get a tier 5 for free.
I wouldn't
Is that
say
how it works?
No. You have to purchase everything to get the Tier 5.
Got you, right, and then you get the tier 5.
Yeah.
Right.
Right, okay. That makes some sense.
That makes a lot more sense. Sorry.
Yeah,
Sorry,
so it's going to
Andrew.
be a big, so basically it's a whole going to be like over the season. How long is this going to last? It's going to be like a couple of months, I guess.
9 patches.
Yeah, 9 patches.
9 patches.
Or 9 updates.
3 Slavic, 3 Voodoo, 3 Polynesian.
You get quests in those that you can buy skins in, and then a tier 5
You'll
again.
see it when you get to the UI. It's all nicely laid out.
get
It's
it.
a very consistent cadence to it all. So there'll be
Yeah.
a Divine Uprising update every update for the next 9 patches.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
That
Yeah,
sounds
and
really
there's
good.
2 new skins for each patch.
That's going to be great.
So, and if you go on the UI, you can actually
And this
see.
all starts when this patch comes out.
It all starts
Yeah.
in this patch.
That's great.
Yeah.
It's going to be fantastic to see that. Well,
It's a really big event.
That's enough of that for now.
Huge.
We're going to head over, though, to Aggro and Pon, who are standing by to do balance.
Thank you very much, guys. Welcome into the desk where we do the balance stuff. This is what I'm always most excited for, though.
Yep.
I need to go home and get the skins right away, but I want to know what's going on in the game, and that's what we're here to do. Aggro joined by Pon. And Pon, let's start as we always do with some items. Now, what is the you got a general philosophy for us here among these changes?
Not so much something that ties a whole bunch of these changes together. We're really just looking at what's overperforming right now, taking that down a notch, look at what's underperforming, bring it up to snuff. There's a few items that have really been kind of hard to really fit into a build, and so a lot of the changes are targeted towards making them better, and then a few that are just overperforming in what they do and bringing them down.
Perfect. Well, let's start right there. First one on our list is Evolved Warrior's Blessing. This saw a bit of a change coming in to Season 5 after the initial part of it. Got a buff, now a nerf. The decreased protections gained on evolving this item from 15 down to 10 for each. So now you're still getting the same amount of sustain. You still have that great passive before it gets evolved, but now you're not quite as unkillable once it does get evolved.
Yeah, early into the season when things were really being shaken up, it caused there were a lot of experimentation, and so Warrior's Blessing was being underutilized, and players slowly realized how good that ability to trade was, the ability to tank minion damage, and it started getting more and more picked up. We made a change to make sure that it was a very strong warrior item for people to pick in the soul lane, but a little bit too hard in that direction, and after seeing it play out for the rest of the season, or the first part of the split, we're bringing down some of the buffs we gave it that patch to make sure it's a bit more in line. If you want to flex into other starter choices to be like maybe really more aggressive with like Mage's Blessing, we're going to let you do that more often. But we want to make sure Warrior's in a good spot. It became in a very good spot, toned down a bit.
Makes sense. All right, next up on the list, we've got Oni Hunters Garb. Now, this is an exciting one. It got a change coming into Season 5, but now we're just kind of making it a little bit more user-friendly. The current passive, you have to be around 3 enemies to make it work. Now you've got a chance you'll get incremental buffs as you're surrounded by more and more enemies. At the end of the day, if you're surrounded by 3 enemies, you get 6% damage mitigation.
Yes.
You get it. And this is only 1,900 gold, Pon.
Yeah, it's a lot. So yeah, this was one of those items that has a really cool passive effect, but it was so situational to trigger that it was hard to actually utilize well. There were a lot of situations you'd pick it up and then you'd get immediately into a few fights where this just was not happening to you. So now you get a weaker effect when you're against one person, a slightly stronger effect when you're against 2, and then the full effect when you're against 3 targets. So that when you pick it up, no matter what situation you're in, it's still good for diving. You still want to use it in those team fight scenarios if you're like a character that really wants to get in the middle and shake things up. But in those one-on-one scenarios, it is a completely dead passive.
Perfect. Yeah, I think we're going to be seeing quite a bit more of that Oni Hunters coming to a solo lane or Guardian near you. Next up, a Soul Reaver nerf. actually made a couple adjustments to this item a couple patches ago. Now we're taking one of those away, increase the cost from $26.50 up to $27.50. Just finding this item be optimal in the third item slot felt a little bit too oppressive to other roles.
Yeah, so we buffed it in a way to make it so that mages could pick this up and feel like they got the burst situation. A lot of people were kind of overlooking it and not using it too much. So we gave it a power increase and a cost decrease. And that was enough to remind people, hey, Soul Reaver's pretty good.
Oh, yeah.
So we're bringing the cost back up. It has a very powerful effect. It gives a lot of magical power, especially as mages have kind of shaken out with the Ratatouille change that happened at the beginning of the season. People are really getting familiar with what mages kind of do and what their power curve is. It was just too cost efficient for what it gave.
Exactly. So Soul Reaver, I think, is still going to be a core item in a lot of mage builds, just maybe a little bit later on down the line instead of in that third item slot. Next up is another mage item, but one that we don't see purchased that often, but also great against mages. It's Stone of Fall, getting a buff in the cost. That goes down from 2,500 to 2,300. But I want to get right to the meat and potatoes here. New passive. Anytime you would be dealt more than 20% of your maximum health by a single magical damage source, that damage is instead reduced by 10%. Basically, if you're taking more than 20%, you get 10% off of that. But the exciting thing here is this effect has no cooldown. So against a god like, say, Hebo, who's hitting you for more than 20% with 3 different abilities, you're taking quite a bit off that.
Yeah, so the big change here is that it was a very restrictive effect. It could only happen under a certain circumstance once, basically, for the entire team fight. And even then, often it could very well not trigger, and you wouldn't even get much out of it. And it had a high cost. So while it was a very powerful counter item, the restrictions it had on it were too much to make it a usable counter item. So now that we've changed it so that the passive has no cooldown, so it can happen however many times it needs to in a fight, as well as we've made it so that it's more of a consistent mitigation instead of one flat, really hard cutoff, you can pick this up for a cheaper cost, which has good stats on it as well,
just
to protect yourself from burst mages specifically.
Yep, you got there.
Got there.
Yep.
The lower cost really helps you fit into a build, and the new passive structure makes it so that when you pick this up, you can rely a bit more that this passive is actually going to be helping you over the course of a fight.
So it's not quite as strong against the big burst ultimates like the Thoth ult or the Habwa ult, but against those that are going to be consistently pinging you for 25% of your health, 30% of your health, this is going to be a lot better. So again, I think an item that was kind of under-purchased specifically against those big burst gods. Could see some more of it there. That's already does it for item balance. Pretty short on that. We got a little graphic if you somehow missed that item balance section. You know, Pon, this is weird, okay? That buff item that's against mages, we buffed that, and then we nerfed Soul Reaver. That's 4 mages, and then Soul of Fall's kind of against mages as well. What's going on here? We have a bunch of mage players working at high res. What's the point if we don't get our class buffed, Pon?
We had the minor revolt of the anti-mage.
Got to get back to work. I just expect with that many mage changes that Zeus is going to be getting a massive buff later on here. Well, you'll have to wait and see for that. Well, no?
No.
Oh, I may as well just leave. No, we'll start it off with you. If you're taking something from me, I'm going to take something from you. Achilles Nerf.
It hurts.
Chat, it's going to be okay. You're going to make it through. Achilles, Shield of Achilles, the decreased the damage in the outer cone, the scaling from 80% down to 70%, and then the combat dodge, you decrease the damage here by 10 at all ranks. So this is a fairly substantial, in the grand scheme of things, it may not seem like each of these nerfs is a whole lot, but I think together, especially when you consider that combat dodge, you're ideally hitting it twice, so it's a double nerf there. I think this is really going to bring his damage numbers down pretty considerably.
Yeah, so I think the big focus here is he's a character that's very good in the early game. He's a character that really excels on getting early pressure out, especially with his unarmored stance. He wants to get in there, really mix it up, and he can come out on top in almost all circumstances. But his late game, his mid and late game, he starts falling off, especially if he hasn't gotten that early lead. So any adjustment to his early game is going to bring him down pretty significantly in terms of his overall power through the course of the game. The reduced wave clear that he gets from the Shield of Achilles, that spread damage that he gets on the back minions, especially if someone's playing back in the back line, them taking less damage is going to be pretty significant to lower his kill potential because he really wants to get them in execute range.
Right.
As well as the double damage from the dash. Early on, it was, I believe, 130 damage. That going to 110.
Yes.
We tried to poke that on the minion wave as well as the opponent god. That's just a lot of damage off from his wave clear, a lot of damage from his clear and in the jungle if he wants to play a jungle role, in the support role. He's still going to be very strong. He can still definitely rush you with high movement speed and power. His basic attacks are very good at chunking, but the overall reduction here is going to make him more readily available to counter, lower his clear so that you're more likely to have minions there with you fighting him, and overall should even out his curve so he's not so good in the early game. But then if you kind of manage him in the early game, you can get to the mid and late game where he starts being a little bit less effective.
All right, there you have it, chat. Achilles Nerf. Do we have to do anything else? Everyone should be happy now, right? That's it.
We still got some more.
We still got a lot more. That's only A, chat. Don't
A.
get baited by me. We actually have another A god right here, Aphrodite, getting a change. It's really just a buff, actually, not really a change. Decrease the cooldown on Kiss if you hit an ally. Right now it's 3 seconds. This is going down to 1 second. So you're going to be able to switch targets very often. And I'm going to get ahead of the chat here, Pon. Why don't we just do any of the thousands of targeter suggestions that Reddit throws at us all the time, huh?
So the big thing is the targeters, right? We've talked about this a lot, and the idea is, well, what if you do a Sun Wukong targeter? You always have control over where you're going to be aiming your thing. But that causes situations where you try and flick cast something, you could miscast it really quickly. We tried other things like where if you could pass through stun and go to your ally always, so you could always get the stun and link, but that makes it a now pass through stun that is very powerful. Maybe lock on works. Well, now it has to be a lock on stun because you can have a lock on and a line targeter working that functionality. And so after reviewing all the options, user case scenarios, making sure it felt fluid on any control scheme that you're using, really just this ability to link immediately to the target you want to go to, and then have a very low cooldown so that if maybe you did want to stun someone off, you can link to your ally, do the knockback, and then get ready to immediately stun that target. Making it so that you never feel bad about linking to a target because your cooldown will be so low anyways afterwards. You'll be able to use it how you want it to.
Right. I think that makes a lot of sense. In specifically with that Sun Wukong style targeter with the 72 transformations, I think the weird playability of trying to hit someone far away but having to aim up close to yourself, I agree that just doesn't quite mesh with how it should feel. And I think this change is going to make it feel phenomenal. You're going to be kissing, healing, then you kiss your next teammate, hit the 2, this one needs the ult. It's going to be a lot of fun.
It also just, it's not even the situation where you want to kiss an ally and then kiss an enemy to CC them, right? Like, you can choose, okay, this person needs a knockback, this person needs a heal, person needs an ultimate. You can swap between them really dynamically, and that's going to allow really good Aphrodite players to really use this well.
Yeah, I'm excited, but maybe not, because playing against Afro makes me a little bit sad sometimes. That's just she's good against Zeus. Anyways, Guan Yu is next up on the list. I'm always on the Zeus thing, Pon. It never stops. This isn't a bit. I'm obsessed with Zeus. We'll move on. Guan Yu is next up on the list. A big change here, a couple of them. First one, his basic attack chain is getting a lot of different changes. Now, the third hit of this chain is going to apply a cleave, a la Nike or Osiris that have those as a part of it. And then the last hit of his hit chain, the range has been increased from 12 to 16. So this is going to help his auto attack clear, but his auto chain already does a ton of damage.
Yeah, so this is a few things. One, it just kind of matches the animations better. He has this swoop and then a big slash and then an overhead reach.
Right.
And it always felt kind of weird that big swoop didn't have a cleave when a lot of the characters that had that kind of similar animation had that cleave. And that long reach, it didn't have the longer range, even though it looks like it could hit that far. So we've increased the range of that last hit so that it matches more of the animation, although that does mean that there's a few outer areas that can be hit because it's a cone. But it does more match the ranged reach that it has, as well as the cleave is going to really help him both in, if you want to play him in the jungle role, you can actually now use that to clear in the jungle because that's what I'm always on.
Do you think DJ Pernicus is watching right now?
Yeah, he's probably really happy about this.
Get ready. Cleave auto attacks. Guan Yu jungle coming to a place near you, because also he gets a passive change.
The other thing,
yeah, go ahead. Sorry, I got ahead of myself.
Yeah, the passive is really exciting though. The big thing here is though in the solo lane, right? If you're using Tower Assault, your wave clear is very good. But if that ever gets interrupted for any reason, you can have a problematic time actually clearing the wave. Now you can actually be aggressive with that, group up the minions, and use that third cleave to really help augment your clear so you don't fall behind other characters that can really interrupt you. So this both helps him kind of make more sense with his basic attack chain, but also helps him perform significantly better in the solo lane or even in jungle if that's what you want to do.
Support as well, I think we could see some more of, because this passive change is nutty.
It's great.
Get ready. Now, before you use an ability once your passive got stacked up and it would consume all the stacks, no longer. That's a relic of the past. Now, whenever your passive is stacked, it's staying stacked as long as you stay in combat. That means the super boosted heals, the super slow, the super prot shred, the ult. You can use all of those in quick succession and keep it going throughout the combat. Guan Yu wants to stay in combat as long as possible anyways. I think this is going to be a massive change for this character.
Yes, this helps him both. You can actually really focus on the bonus effects before you'd often trigger it and then be like, well, I only have my heal up or I only have my dash up. And it'd feel really bad for me to hold on to this trying to get the prot that's going to be up in 6 seconds when I have a whole bunch of abilities that are actually just asking me and begging me to use my cooldowns really often. And so for a character that wants to be in the fight, constantly healing, constantly dashing through to lower his cooldowns, this really just makes more sense for him. When he's in the thick of a fight, he can keep doing the cool things.
Yeah, he's going to be doing a lot of cool things. I'm sure of it.
He's
Guan Yu is going to be fun. No doubt about it, at least to play. Next up is going to be Khepri. He's receiving a bit of a buff as well. Hasn't seen a lot of pro-level play. In fact, 0 pro-level play through the spring split so far. So we're increasing the root duration, adding an extra 0.2 seconds at all ranks, as well as increasing the damage. Starts at 10 more damage at rank 1, up to 30 extra damage, ending at 280 at max rank. This is just kind of covering one of Khepri's weaknesses. He has bad initiation. This will help him out a little bit in that area.
Yeah, the longer route really help him get close to actually grab on with the 1. It'll also help make sure that like if he's trying to group a whole enemy team, if he gets just a few people out, that's more time for his team to engage on there. And the base damage increase, while it's pretty minor, it's not like an above 300 base damage ability. Just that bonus damage that he contributes to a team fight can mean the difference between someone actually dying versus not dying in a late game team fight. It matches more with other guarding kind of base damage abilities that they have. So the root combined with that base damage is just going to help him really solidify himself as a strong engager, a strong poker that can actually throw out that root if he really needs to, and be effective with it.
Perfect. Next up, another Guardian on the list, another K Guardian. It's Kuzenbo. Everyone
This one's fun.
Getting a shift, it says here, but this looks like a pretty good buff to me. The Water Bowl, his passive, increasing the per stack damage mitigation from 1% to 1.5%. So overall, this means that you can go from your maximum damage mitigation from 10% up to 15%, which is high.
Yeah, and if you're playing against him and you want to get rid of that mitigation, you actually have to play into the passive. You really can't just kind of ignore it.
Exactly. You have to play around it a little bit more than a lot of players are currently doing. And then Shell Spikes. We're decreasing this damage, so you're going to not kill yourself quite as often on those Shell Spikes, down 10% at every single rank. But then we've also decreased the mana cost. Now it'll just be 50 at all ranks. And here's the big one.
This is
now, whenever you hit a Kuzenbo with Shell Spikes, you may not kill yourself from the damage itself, but you're resetting the cooldown of his Sumo Slam. Right now, it only decreases cooldown off the 1. Now it'll be the 1 and the 3.
Yes.
So he's going to be moving you around, tossing out little turtles all over the place.
Yeah, so I think the big overarching goal for these changes were he was really frustrating to fight against because of that Shell Spikes, but it also he didn't really contribute much to the team fight outside that Shell Spikes, right? So it was frustrating to play against, but he also just didn't contribute enough. So the damage mitigation is going to help him actually stay engaged in the fight. It means that he can actually get in there and use his Reflect and not die immediately. And that also means that when he engages, throws his Nana Cap out, Sumo Slam, someone pops the Shell Spikes, he's going to be doing it all over again if you keep hitting him. So he wants to be in the middle. He wants to be taking incidental damage. All these changes help him get into that goal. And then if he plays well, he gets to Sumo Slam another person or Sumo Slam another person and keep going throughout the fight as long as he can keep getting hit.
Well, that's going to be something.
Yeah,
Nemesis
Kuzenbo.
up next. No, Kuzenbo is a lot of fun to play. I kid.
We did not give him a gun this time, though. Rip.
Eventually. Soon enough.
We'll get there.
Soon enough, chat. Nemesis up next, receiving a nerf. This one is going to be on Slice and Dice. We're decreasing the damage at 10 at all ranks, but it may not look like much. You're not getting hit for 160 at max rank. Remember that middle cone of Slice and Dice doubles her damage.
Yes.
So this is actually more impactful than it looks like at first.
Yeah, so this is a change that we made a while back to her where we increased the Slice and Dice damage. Back then, she was struggling to be anything more than a character that just brought an ultimate to a fight.
Yes.
So we upped her scaling so that she'd be more of an assassin when she built offensive. And that worked really well during the time, but then we went to Season 5 where jungle clear rates matter a lot more, and the burst became a lot more important. People were dying a lot quicker. And so that base damage that we gave her and the scaling we gave her really let her shine, and she became a very, very contested pick. We've done a few things like adjust the ultimate to bring it more into line with other things. We've done some item targeted changes, and we wanted to see how all that shook out because she's a character that is traditionally really sensitive to balance.
Yes.
And so now that we've let all those changes kind of subside, she's still pretty good.
Turns out.
Yeah, and so base damage is coming down. This means that the burst potential she has early on is going to be lower. The clear rate she has is going to be lower. She's going to have to spend more time jungling camps. So her ability to like really clear something and aggressive lane really early is going to be limited. So she's going to have to focus more on making sure her ults are really good, her engages are really good, and finding really the right opportunity to get to the backline, lest the person gets away and doesn't die and then she dies.
All right, there you go. That's Nemesis for you guys. Next up, another nerf that I think a lot of people were probably expecting. Terra up next on the list. Revert. This first one is a revert, though. It used to be the monolith was at 3, then we upped it to 5 when we removed the root. Well, the root came back. It stayed at 5 hits to destroy the monolith, so now we're bringing that back in line.
Yes.
3 hits to destroy the monolith, just as it was last time.
Make sure that you have a counterplay option against her, right? Like, she can't just throw that up and then... Right now, it's if you decide to actually attack it, she just dashes in, and she has plenty of time to make that decision.
Right.
Now, if you choose to focus it down, she really needs to decide if she's getting out of there or dashing through it.
Perfect. All right. Then, Earth and Fury, getting a little bit of a nerf here. Decrease the damage mitigation from 10% to 5%, and the damage amplification for your team from 10% to 5%. This was a 20% swing. You guys were doing 20% more. They were doing 20% less. Now it's down to 10%, cutting that in half.
So the ultimate redesign really helped her actually feel like she had a good identity in the middle of a team fight. She can pop this thing, and it's very clear what everyone needs to do now.
Yeah.
The old ultimate with this global power gave her this weird nebulous power, and now it's very clear. But it also is very strong. A 20% swing, like you said, is really good, combined with the heal and the damage. So we're looking at that specifically, and the big thing is we're toning down that damage mitigation, because while you can somewhat play around the heal and you can somewhat play around the damage being applied to yourself, that percent damage mitigation is going to apply no matter what you're doing.
Right.
And so when it's 20%, that's really extreme. It basically means that like you really can't fight into that. Whereas if you're playing smart and avoiding and playing around these stone procs, the damage and the heal, you should have a reasonable chance of actually coming out on top, even if she pops the ultimate. So this will really help players actually more contest Terra after she ults.
Perfect. Excited to see that. Next up is Thor. This one pretty exciting as well. Getting a buff to Mjolnir's Attunement. That's the hammer toss. Increase the amount of damage that the return hammer deals to minions from 50% to 80%.
Yes.
So he's been having trouble in the early game clearing out minion camps, and it's in large part because the 1 doesn't do a lot of damage and the 3 doesn't do enough to clear it, and you're losing the opportunity to auto-attack a lot of these camps down. This will allow him to pick this up early on and be able to clear camps a bit better.
Yeah, so he made a change to Berserker's Barrage early on to help him with his clear. We reduced the cooldown so you can use it, and that helped him somewhat. But Berserker Barrage is kind of this weird thing where you're channeling it and you're doing a good amount of damage, but you're also not basic attacking that entire time, which can really limit how much DPS you're actually putting out onto the camp. And why it's a very powerful ability and scales really well, you don't have that much scaling early on. It's 225%. You don't have enough power items to really make that worthwhile. And so in a lot of cases, it was better just to actually max hammer, use that on the camp, because you're basic attacking the whole time. With this, it is almost certainly better. I believe it actually makes it so you have to one-hit these side ones, which puts it very much in line with Berserker's Barrage clear rate. So you're definitely going to want to level this up, and it just makes it very clear what he's supposed to be doing. It lets him level up his gank tool as well. This should help him overall just perform more reliably in the jungle, and opens up a few options, maybe a solo lane, maybe a support role. We've seen support Thor every so often, but this is really targeted towards that jungle playstyle.
And I know it feels kind of crazy, right? Like we're actually going to buff Thor. I mean, that was my first reaction upon reading it, but you brought up a good point. When was the last time Thor was actually the best jungler in a meta? It's been a long time.
He started seeing some play, but it took like 2 seasons to get there, and it's still not like he's not really clearly the best character. He's a flex pick. He's picked every so often.
And he's a comfort pick for so many good junglers that everyone just feels like he's still one of the best, but statistically and in just actual practice, it has felt like Thor has fallen off in comparison to some other assassins. So, seems scary. Give it a try. Chat, trust me.
Yeah, it'll be good.
Vamana next up, getting a bunch of mana cost reductions. I'm just going to go down the list, and then I'll let you talk about them all at once. Clear the Path, going from 70 to 90, now 70 at all ranks. That's the dash. Armored Umbrella, that's going from 60 to 100, down to 60 to 80, so losing 20 mana at max rank. That's the 2. And then Umbrella Rang, that's the 3, getting 20 mana off at max rank as well. So Vamana just getting a little bit more user-friendly in that you can actually play him and not just have to go back to base all the time.
Yeah, you walk into lane, you're like, oh cool, I'm gonna poke with Umbrella Ring, I'm gonna cone real quick, maybe I'll dash once or twice, and oh, I need to go back to base because I am actually out of mana really fast. It basically meant that he really had to choose between either just clearing the wave or just poking the enemy god. And in our kind of meta right now, it's basically clear the wave, and then if you do anything else, you're going to go too fast. And a lot of other warriors don't have that limitation on them. They have abilities to poke and clear the wave reliable to them. And so helping Vamana actually have the mana to really poke enemy characters, use his abilities to clear the wave, and then choose when he wants to dump all of his abilities to combo with a reasonable mana cost, helps him actually perform in the solo lane.
Perfect. By the way, just got to ask, how much did Homie Faye pay you for these these changes? Because we're buffing Thor and Vamana, and those are like 2 gods he loves to play.
I can't disclose that amount.
Perfect. Yeah, that's fine. Just making sure that we know that is on the record. Last up is a doozy, Chad. If you aren't sitting down, now's probably a good time. Xbalanque receiving some changes. Let's do it then. Dead of Night, the passive. This ability no longer stacks off kills.
Yes.
You no longer have to secure your last hits. You no longer get to rage type at your teammates that, why didn't you let me get that last hit? Now it's going off your own player damage. So you got no one to blame but yourself if your passive isn't stacked. Now you get 1 stack for every 1,000 damage dealt by Xbalanque. So it's the same amount of power, same amount of stacks. You just got to deal damage instead of securing last hits.
Yeah, so I think you hit on it really quickly. I am a Xbalanque, I go and dive someone, I'm about to get the kill, and then Loki ults across the wall and takes the kill, and you're just like, I'm out of power now.
Right.
And we talked of different ways of like kind of adjusting this. Assist was on the table at one point, but it was like you have to add stacks and make it this weird math problem, and even then it could stack very quickly in the same way that like right now if you get 2 kills early, it power spikes Xbalanque really hard, in the same way that if he doesn't get any kills, he's really weak.
Sure.
So just the variability that it had was just really high, and so making it work off player damage, you can reliably expect Xbalanque players to get damage over the course of the game. Early is a lot slower, so it's harder to get those stacks, and as the game ramps up, so you can kind of rely on Xbalanque having this power. But it also does put it in the hands of the Xbalanque players themselves. They can choose to be more aggressive. They can choose to go and poke, trying to get the stack up, or they can play more passive and wait till the mid-late game to really get their stacks going.
And it's, again, another one of those buffs that feels a little bit scary at first, but I think you brought up a great point, is that moment where an X-Ball does get that double kill in lane, it's like, well, I guess I lose now. This no longer that won't impact it anymore. He'll still have a lead, but it won't be 10 free power for him. It's going. This is about smoothing out the power curve on where we can expect him to get that extra power.
Yes.
And so we can see him a little bit more consistently. There's another buff, by the way, for Xbalanque. Decrease the mana cost of Rising Jaguar from 60 to 100 to 60 to 80, so losing 20 at max rank.
Yep.
Which one are you more excited about, Pon?
I'm more excited about the passive, personally.
Wow, me
Surprise.
too. That's a pretty big deal. Let's take a look and see. That was a pretty long god change. We got a little graphic for you here to see exactly what you got going on. Afro Kepri, Thor, Vamana, X-Ball, Guan. All of your buffs this patch. A couple gods that we haven't seen a lot of in pro level play that are getting some love. Kuzumbo with a nice change. And then a couple gods that you see a lot of at the pro level. Achilles, Nemesis, and Terra receiving some nerfs. That does it for the balance section. Thank you, Pon, for joining me, as always. And we gave you a little bit of a preview on some skins earlier. Personally, I want to see some more of that E-United skin, so let's do it.
Yeah.
And now with you all reeling from that balance section, it's time to settle you down for a second or two. We'll go through some skins, cheer you all up again if again the balance section didn't go your way. Joining me on the casual set this week is Tina, back once again alongside the lovely Ashley and Ben. How you both doing?
Good.
How you doing, man?
Good to see you, Ben. I've not seen you in person.
This is the first time we get to do this, man. It's a real pleasure for me.
Oh, hopefully it goes well. Don't get too excited yet.
Okay.
Just in case, Let's start things off with, I don't know, Fedre?
Yeah. Do it. That sounds good.
Fedre sounds good. Chompy Chippy Fedre. Who did the card art? Who allowed that to happen?
I'm fine with it.
That's
Manny.
Manny.
That's my favorite tear skin too.
Yeah, it's great.
That poor puppet. Yep. If it was my dog, he'd just rip it to shreds.
Yep.
Just stuffing all over the floor.
He's so cute.
So with this one, we really wanted to kind of leverage, obviously the cute thing works well with the animalistic ones, and this one just was a perfect pick, I think, to do for Chibi.
I love his hand feels like his front claw just seems bigger than the rest.
Yep. We exaggerated some of the proportions on this one for it to feel a lot better, because you can't just give him the big head, right, and the cute eyes, especially a guy like this.
His face is so expressive.
He looks like he's been pumping iron quite a bit to get to this point.
Yep.
And it's a cute little version. What did that say?
And who was the character artist on this, Ben? Was it Hector?
Yeah, Hector worked on this. He's done a lot of at the studios that before. He did a lot of kind of stylized stuff. Oh, cool. So he was a perfect pick to work on this skin.
Yeah, he did a great job.
This skin looks awesome.
I love the effects. Yeah,
they're very cartoony.
The little fire, little tiny fire effects.
I'm pretty sure I saw the animation at the start that he chases his tail as well.
Yeah, his
that's his DXG.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah, see it.
This tongue
Yeah, his
sticking
tongue
out?
sticks out.
Yes. He is so cute.
And then obviously he's got his ultimate too, which I've not seen yet.
Oh yeah. Oh my
Get
god.
him. Go get him. Get him, Fender. Get him, boy.
It's huge.
This skin looks awesome. These chibi skins are just. Is everyone gonna get a chibi skin by the end? Is that what's happening?
I mean,
I
Chibi Smite.
See, I'm trying to trick the new ones on the set, Tina. That's what it is. I'm like,
okay.
maybe they'll leak something ahead of
Yeah,
time.
you're trying to set us up, man.
Yeah, that's the game plan.
Yeah.
Real quick.
If you do, then
Sly
you don't come
dog.
back on again, and then I got a new replacement.
Real quick, can we see his dance again in chibi form?
Dance, puppet, dance.
Dance puppet. Oh.
Oh my god, I love it.
Well, obviously, it comes with a voice pack too, so let's have a listen in.
Yeah.
Yes! You're good. Oh, that was exciting. Oh! You're looking at the Alpha. Can we play fetch? Oh, I love playing fetch. Who's afraid of the big bad wolf? No one, cause look at me, I'm cute and cuddly. Oh!
Yeah, Fairman's got some great skins, but this is just another one.
Yep.
That's gonna join it.
It's Chris Sabat actually because he's base Fenrir. So I just
Oh my
yeah.
gosh, he's so talented.
Yeah, he is. He's phenomenal.
That's awesome. Well, that's the Fenrir one. We'll move along then to the United Coloured skin, which is going to be available. Now, obviously, for you guys who know, like, United won the World Championship, and every year we always release a skin for the winners, and they seem to get better and better.
Yeah, this one we wanted to like really get the outfit to be very modern. Like we touch on the E United, but like it's just a really dope skin overall. And then we play up kind of some of the abilities that will really go with the United stuff with it.
Ooh, I like the
So
hairstyle.
like in base form, it's Benji, and then in like giant form, it's Paul Their Mike. It's kind of what we're looking at here.
Yeah, I love the hairstyle you guys gave him.
Yeah, it looks so edgy.
Yeah, it looks like he's actually done his hair. That's not like a new United player, in my opinion. I can say that.
That
Sorry,
banter.
guys.
So he's just going to build up the rage.
There he goes, raging out. It's like he ripped his jacket.
Yeah, that's exactly what we're trying to get, like
looks awesome.
tear out from the inside.
Kept his hood on.
So this was like two artists that worked on this one. This Wayne and Richard.
Because it's a double god.
Yeah, it's a double god. So, but they worked really well in tandem to make sure this came out really awesome.
It's always harder when he's got transformations to make sure they fit as well, I guess.
Oh yeah, because like even the colors and everything, like they're different materials and textures, so they all got to like work together to line them up.
That logo.
United on the
That
Salmon's Leap.
logo.
Yep.
It's like good luck, right?
Is that the only time you see the logo? Or is there another ability that does it?
I don't know.
I don't remember.
We'll find out.
I think there's one in the ult as well.
The ult.
Was she? No, wait, you'll see it on the two abilities. Maybe? Someone lied to me.
I think you're...
There you
Oh,
go.
you're not a liar after all.
It was the suspense we were trying to build
I
up.
know, right? Oh man. All right, do we get to see the sick nasty global emote that comes with this?
Oh wait, what?
The sick nasty.
The sick nasty. Show me it.
That's so American. America.
Wait, what?
I kind of feel like
What?
America.
Europe didn't get that when they won.
Well, they're not America. Sorry.
I'm sure Paul Bearback's Canadian anyway. He is now. I'm just saying that. Like, he's not. Okay, now it does come with a voice pack too. Oh, what's Paul set up for?
Wait, what's he doing?
He's gonna show someone doing it.
Setting up
Let's go! Holy shit! You're huge! Holy shit! You're huge! Let's get it! Hop in the backpack! Try and 1v4 me. See what happens. Wanna hear a joke? Having a teammate who can't aim their Fafnir hammers. And Artemis with Blink? What are they thinking? Wanna hear a joke? Having a teammate who can't aim their Fafnir hammers.
That voice pack's amazing.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie.
I just want to. Sorry, go ahead.
Go on.
I just want to shout out to PBM and team for helping me out with writing this. So,
I was gonna say you must have got the info from
Yes.
somewhere about Panda Cat getting blink,
Yeah,
and then
yeah,
Mike can
yeah.
be able to hit a hammer with Fafnir.
Is really, really helpful, and I really appreciate it. So it turned out phenomenally.
There it is.
I'm so proud of you two. We can move along from there. We don't need to worry about that anymore.
Now, I believe that word just has 13 F's at the beginning of it.
Yeah. Next up then is
man.
Northern Ranger Hachiman. I love the bow on this by the looks of it. I like the artwork of the bow, so I'm like, okay, in-game's gonna be just as good.
So with this one, we were trying to really play. He's in the Slavic chest, so we wanted to play up a lot of the Slavic elements on this and try to go with like kind of a guy that's up there in that northeastern Europe area with
Hemisphere,
wood.
yeah.
You know, that whole area.
I got you.
So there's a lot of like stuff like on his suit, like a lot of symbols. That kind of like the Slavic kind of look to it, and then there's like they have like an eagle kind of symbol, like a double-headed eagle, I think. So we were trying to play up some of that in his outfit.
I feel like I've learned so much about Slavic culture just working on skins like this.
Well,
he
looks dope AF, man.
It's all about the bow with Hachiman. So like you've got the bow and the representation of the bow. That's the important thing.
But then he still has the sword and the horse.
Does he have little flappies on his skirt?
There's some flappies, man.
He got some flappies.
Is that what? Is
We
that
know we
the
do 'em, right?
actual official word?
Those are
flappies?
Slavic flappies.
Slavic
Ah.
flappies, yeah. Oh, that's cool.
Slavic flappies.
I forgot you had a horse. I always forget about the horse.
Hachi horsey, dude.
That's a whole different character as well. Like we had Jack worked on the horse, and Chris Cooner worked on the Hachiman. The horse it looks pretty dope.
Yeah, they did such a great job.
I think the horse is still a work in progress right now. We might not be able to show it today. I'm just getting away from production that it's still got some things with it. We will get to it. Oh, the flag. Sorry, not the horse. The horse is good.
Oh,
The horse
yes.
is good.
We
the
just
flag. There was
we
a-
just
Oh
flicked
crap,
the-
man!
yeah.
My team's in trouble.
No.
No, don't worry. I'm just getting weird from production now. Where
Pawn
it's like
showing the
flag
slow mo.
We had
the
the
horse slow mo,
the
dude.
flag fixed like about an hour ago, so it's still being worked on.
God time.
It's gonna be dope in game, we promise.
Here we go.
Magical horse.
Motion.
There it is.
Oh, he's like a buck.
So we gave him like some like ram horns and stuff.
Yeah.
So he matches the outfit pretty nicely.
He does.
And there was two different artists that had to do those.
Yes.
Like one for the horse, one for the.
Yep. Anytime you see two characters, a horse, a character,
I don't
that
class
turns
that
another
those
one.
two characters. I still class it as one.
Oh yeah, it's double the cost for us, buddy.
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah.
Aye.
Yeah, buddy. Well, it does come with a voice pack too. So let's have a listen.
Yeah! Yeah! You show skill. Exceptional. They hire me for a reason. You don't bring a knife to a bow fight. As a matter of fact, I can speak to animals. I'm exceptionally proficient in squirrel. Squeakity squeak, squeak, squeakity squeakity.
What?
I get that reference.
And that is Hachiman. Guess what's next?
What?
Fat Loki!
There he is.
All right. Explain the joke, someone, for the people who don't know where Fat Loki came from. Do you guys know?
Yes.
Aren't you like a Loki main or nah?
Why are you calling me out for that?
Not in public.
So
I'm a fat Cabrakan. I mean, Fat Loki, man. Not a Loki, man. Do you know what it is?
well, it's
If you guys don't know, I know.
I know it.
I know
I
it.
do
I
not.
know
Okay.
it.
Okay. So our senior producer Blake Harrison is a Loki main.
Are you reading that off paper?
No, I
Wait.
know this off the top of my head.
It's written on the paper.
Nope. Nope, not at all. Okay. One, he's actually responsible for this inside joke, and I don't really play Cabrakan, but basically, if you combo up some of his stuff, he does as much damage as like a Loki.
You got it.
Yeah, there you go.
Very close to it. Yeah, it was definitely involving, as you were saying, Blake Harrison, but it was also Bart coined it into esports too. So whenever Cabrakan came round, he would always call it Fat Loki. So everyone learned who Fat Loki was Cabrakan.
Mm-hmm.
So now we've got his skin.
The legend of Fat Loki.
Yeah.
That's where he came
That
from.
is awesome. Yeah, so working on this is pretty interesting. One of our artists, Haley, did this. it's really crazy to get the the same kind of like look of the costume of the old Loki, but with the proportions of someone who's like 3 times the size, right? But it worked out pretty well, actually.
It looks awesome too.
Is this skin gonna be in the Slavic event?
Yeah, it is.
Okay, cool.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't sure.
You scared me then, because I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, it
You
is.
should know
It
this.
is.
No one tells me that.
It is in the Slavic event.
Ooh, that's different.
All those walls look dope.
Yeah, it's a bunch of
Yeah, we really wanted
Lokis,
to play that up.
It feels like decoy. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
a
that was the
combination
whole
of
point.
decoy
Yeah,
too,
the
right?
whole point. Yeah, like the walls are decoys, but still walls.
See, I got it. I got it. I don't always get the art references, but now and again, I'm like,
You
I got
sound
one.
like you might play Loki.
No, I have no clue.
Okay.
Don't know what you're talking about.
Speaking of decoys, isn't there another decoy reference in here?
Yes.
I believe.
Isn't it
it's
his VXG?
Yeah, I heard it's his VXG.
Oh my. You can move around.
He's a
it's
wandering
great.
decoy.
I know, it's great.
I don't trust it.
So if you don't see him on the map and you just go in the jungle and he's just there doing that, you're like,
Yeah.
oh, it's Fat Loki decoy. Loki's
That's
decoy.
pretty
It's
awesome.
not the real one.
And then he Fat Loki's you.
And then
Yeah.
Fat Loki's you. Yeah. Like that. Except Odin bots OP.
God, I love Cabrakan.
And it does come with a voice pack too.
Death defying. I kill so effortlessly. You're good. You look like you're about to wee yourself. What do you mean I'm not Loki? I've gained a little weight is all.
Oh.
And that is
What a
Fat
guy.
Loki. And the
love it.
end of the skin segment this week. So 4 really interesting skins, guys. Thank you so much for that this week. Still more to come. We've got a new god coming up. You all know it already. We'll be going through that momentarily. But first of all, we're going to head over to Gabby, and I believe it's Isaiah standing by to talk a little bit about the community.
Hey everybody, Litigris here with Hi-Res Isaiah, and you know, we run into each other and chat all the time and everything, but this is the first time we've actually got to do something together in person.
That's right, and it's a pleasure to have you on the show.
Oh, for sure. I'm happy to be here. And before we get into community talk, I want to know, what is your favorite of the new skins?
Ooh, I mean, you can't pass up Fat Loki, right?
Right?
It is so good. But
I feel
Northern
so
Ranger
good.
Hachimon, just because the aesthetics on his armor and stuff, and that horse is top tier.
Superb indeed. Well, we do have community talk for you. So first of all, why don't you let everybody know of some of the upcoming events for everyone?
Yeah, most definitely. So this weekend, players can earn one first win of the. If you get one first win of the day, you can earn yourself a cutesy avatar chest. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday, as long as you win one game, you can get a cutesy avatar chest. And then another exciting piece of news. We want your help, the community. We know we have some awesome artists out there, so we're looking for your help in determining one of this year's skins for either Halloween or winter themed. So right now we're hosting a community concept art contest. All the details are on SMITEgame.com. You have until May 9th to send us your submissions.
Have you combed through and found some really cool community artists out there?
Yeah, definitely some cool winter themed skins, and then some really, really scary stuff. I saw a spider Kepri online, and I don't do spiders. I had to close my monitor like immediately.
You're just done.
Right? Yeah, I was done.
So for anyone that wants to go ahead and enter that competition, if you're trying to choose, is there anything that they can do to win your favor as far as design type, Halloween, winter? What are you feeling?
So I am definitely going for the winter themes because I'm all about like the icy blues, the snow. And if you guys can get a cool winter themed assassin, I don't think we have one of those yet.
You heard it here, everybody. So keep that in mind when you're creating your content. Another thing we wanted to talk about today, which is why I'm here, is to highlight our esports scene, because we actually have a major LAN coming up with the end of the SPL. And I know you were keeping up with the SPL
most
as it
definitely.
was going on. So going into it straight off the bat, what was the team that you were rooting for?
Oh, go rooting for this split? Definitely Space Station. I am a huge Jeff and Bear fan. You know, the sex tank. You got to root for him, right? But I was taking a look at the brackets earlier, and there's a possibility for a rematch from this year's World's Finals between E United and Rival. And if that happens, it's going to be a set.
And for anybody that doesn't know who exactly is attending this LAN, we've got Team Rival and Team Dignitas from EU, Space Station Gaming, and United for NA. And then the LATAM representative will actually be determined on the first day of the LAN between Weissel Serial and Nocturnes, Black Dragons for Brazil, Uyghur Serval for OCE, and Mashu Boys rounding it out with SEA. And this is one of the longest LANs actually that's going to be coming through with SMITE. What are you looking forward to most with the clashing of all these teams?
I think the thing I'm looking forward to most is it's always cool to see international teams come in and compete, right? We see EU and NA all the time, but if you don't necessarily have time to keep up with the SMITE Global Series, you're going to see, the #1 seed from all of these regions come and compete on LAN, and it's going to be awesome.
Yeah, and a lot of the details have been released on our esports website, esports.smitegame.com. That's where you can find information about prizing, which it's a $65,000 prize pool for those teams. So big chunks to be coming out of that. But we also have the SML matches that are going to be going on. It's their finals between the two teams invited there. Anxiety Onset for NA, and then we have Insignum for EU. Have you been keeping up with the SML as well?
Yeah, I've been keeping up with the SML. I was rooting for Voltic. They didn't make it, unfortunately, so Anxiety Onset all the way.
Yeah, another day, maybe another day.
Yeah.
It's $10,000 on the line for those teams as well. And these will actually be broadcasted across the board on all of our platforms, including mixer.com/SmiteGame. And this is May 9th through 13th. How are you prepping for your watching of this amazing
I'm prepping right
event?
now. I'm getting MLC Stealth to get the community cube ready. We're stocking up on snacks, and we're going to have a great party. It's going to be awesome.
Party in the house, everybody. Well, I'm excited to have been here in the Patch No Show. Of course, we do have the God coming up that I know you're all super excited for. But before we send it over to Hindu, let's have a little teaser of our own.
Well, guys, you've waited long enough for a new guard, and the new one is finally here on this Patch No Show. Joining me on this set today will be Clumsy and AJ from the design team to break down this guard, and of course, Ben's going to come from the art department to break this down too. Chernabog. Is that what he said? Chernabog?
Yep, Chernabog.
Chernabog.
I got it right.
You did.
Awesome. It
Close
doesn't happen
enough.
very often.
There's a lot of ways to spell that name.
You still say Thoth wrong, but it's fine. There's like 8. There's like 10 different pronunciations for that god, and like 5 of them are technically correct, depending on which
Am one of my
culture.
5 wrong? Am I one of the
I think
5
you're
wrong?
still one of the wrong ones. Yeah. I think you're not supposed to try that one. It's all right though.
Not even a little bit.
Let's talk about Chernabog.
I like it.
Yeah.
Chernabog, anyway.
That intro is so hype. I love that
He looks
that bit of art that we've got there.
very interesting.
He's
And now,
scary.
obviously,
He's dope.
we've discussed a lot of things as well. Like we've released a couple of things about some of the kit already,
Yes,
so
that's
there's a
right.
lot of hype around this too. I guess the first thing to really come to you, Ben, is like the design of this god, of like the art style. What was the like direction, or what direction were we looking for here?
Well, we got a lot of our direction actually from like the abilities and from the design team. Mark Ross is the concept artist that worked on it, and he did a nice job at kind of trying to like really play up the demonic and like kind of the evil aspects of this guy. AJ will play into that later, and Clumsy will talk about as well, the kind of like the actual attitude of the character. But we wanted to really sell that with the design. And he's got he's like a hunter, so he's got this really cool, instead of it being like a traditional kind of hunter weapon, we tried to do this crystal thing. I thought it was pretty unique, and it like really, it has this like the presence that he has, where it's kind of like he's effortlessly kind of like making attacks and stuff. Yeah, man. And the wings, dope. Anybody with wings, cool.
We've had a lot of skins in the past with like demon feel to them, but we never had an actual demonic god.
Right. So, and we've had other gods that are kind of like demonic, but more of a scary, creepy way. Like this is like demonic, but it's like in a stoic kind of way, I think.
So you guys on the cut, tell me a little bit about the lore. What's going on with Chernabog? What's he about? Obviously demonic, but why is he demonic? Where's he come from?
So there's not actually a lot about lore when it comes to Chernabog, but he is very much the epitome of all things dark. He is the famine, the illness that comes.
My new favorite.
Yeah, exactly. He is, the wintry months that come after you had this beautiful year.
Mm-hmm.
He's the inevitable darkness, is what we like to say. On the
You should
side
like
team.
actually go in there and kind of like just do that as like the here comes Chernabog, the Evil before the
he
winter.
is
he
a
melts all
lord
that
of
stuff.
darkness.
Yeah.
He'll be using that in the casts, I'm sure, right?
Yeah,
Hindu?
it's literally what esports off season is for me. Like the dark and the evil and the curse.
So a lot of his lore is tied to his brother Belobog, which is why we're embracing this kind of inevitable darkness, because Belobog is the good, and there needs to be balance. There needs to be both. So they exist as necessary parts of kind of the same concept, which there's ever-changing cycles in life.
Yeah.
And there's one specific reference to Chernabog in the lore.
Yeah, so there's only one real thing, and there's a Saxon missionary Helmold who observed during feasts and festivities that a bowl was passed around, and they would utter curses in the name of Chernabog, and also they'd say blessings in the name of his brother Belobog into the bowl.
Curse Zeus.
Hey,
just for Agro's hatred.
Give
right? That's what I'm after.
Agro can't defend himself. That's not cool.
Chernabog.
Yes.
Curse Zeus.
So yeah, we kind of drew on that, and he has a lot of different depictions and a lot of different types of fantasy and other games and movies and stuff like that.
Sure.
And we saw a very recurring theme, which is just this kind of embodiment of darkness and shadow. And to us, that meant a lot of demon and some inhuman features, but we wanted to bring some aspect of humanity to him to really bring him that relatable level of evil. Like we try to describe Chernabog in ways that are like evil in a kind of unique twist. Like even when something is like in real life, when something is, your life is going great and things are going well, there's that voice in the back of your head that's like, oh no, now I'm even more scared because I have more to lose.
Yeah.
You even when life looks great, you can still be afraid at what could happen to you. And that's kind of where we took Chernabog from. So we took this very strong human core and tried to infuse it with some demonic elements. And of course, from just a very design gameplay art perspective, hunters that don't just use bows, is always something we go for. So the last couple hunters, Hachimon, he was an exception because it fit him really well and he looked really cool. It was great. But we did Kernanos before that. And we tried to do some more unique weapons. We'll probably do a bow eventually because bows are awesome too. But we were really liking this idea of him almost summoning darkness and cold just out of nowhere. And then hurling it at you and hurting you.
I'm not gonna lie, it's gonna be really worried that you're talking about even though you think life's going good, and oh my god, this kit is gonna be insane, right?
It's a little bit of that, but this is more of a thematic. This encouraged us when we were first getting started about how he should look and how he should act.
Yep, exactly.
And as far as how he should act, we're going for kind of this super villain. He's almost effortless. He's doing these crazy attacks to you, but he's not working very hard. He's not grunting like he's lifting heavy objects. He's just waving his hand and then hundreds of crystal shards shattering through you. So I think this really ties in together as this really great villain.
Well, let's get into game. Enough talk. Let's get into game and have a little look at this, because you mentioned things about crystals and I still don't understand. I've seen card art.
We'll see them. We'll see them.
Need to see it.
We only showed a little bit beforehand, but now we're gonna see some crazy stuff.
That's not in game.
Yes, we've seen. Give Pawn a second.
Okay.
There we go.
There's
Look at him.
his model.
So good.
So he's got some cool things. He stands sometimes, but when he moves, he flies. He hovers.
Okay.
So you'll see him get up when Pawn's done panning around him. You'll see his basic animations. You'll be hovering over the ground, flapping his wings more often.
If you're gonna stand still, you don't need to fly, do you? You can just stand.
Yeah, exactly. This is part of his laid back. We want him to just land, right? He's cool with that.
And that's him floating around.
There he is. Yeah, so he's a glider. He's not a walker. He's not striding across the battlefield.
And the modeling team really put some extra work into these crystals. So you'll see them in his abilities, but also just on his character when Pawn was panning around there.
So the artist that worked on this was Chris Cooner, and he's kind of when he was working on a previous model, I think it was Cucullin, some sort of demonic version of Cucullin, there was some crystals tech. Yeah. So we kind of made this crystal tech where it's got some caustics and some transmission effects, so the lighting kind of really passes into the crystal. And he really wanted to put that into this model, and it just worked so well.
Yeah, Mark on the concept and Chris on the model both absolutely hit this one out of the park. It's beautiful, beautiful god artwork wise.
I just saw the auto attacks too, and at first I was like, hang on, he's left-handed. And I'm
No,
like, no, wait, he uses both.
He switches back and forth.
Man.
He's got both.
Okay, and that's crystals that he's firing. That's what he's projectiles.
And look, you can see the actual wall hit on the projectiles, so when they collide with the wall, they actually shatter.
That's cool.
Pretty sweet.
That's one of those advancements we've had with Smite as time's gone on, because Skins had it with Afro's Cat, I think was the first one.
Yeah.
And now we're actually putting it into God.
Yeah, we build up a little bit of kit of things we can do, man.
Yeah, it's great.
If we do work on a skin that has an ability, we try to sell it on the next thing if we can. The one thing we wanted to do too with this guy is because we wanted to kind of make him feel a little bit more uncomfortable to look at, and part of it with that was his proportions. he's got a little bit exaggeration proportions in it. We went enough where it doesn't. We went not enough where it went like super crazy, but enough where it feels like when you look at him, you're like, man, this guy is just really freaking creepy. Like his hands feel pretty big, is a little lanky to him. I think it works really well for the guy.
It's subtle. It ties into kind of that feeling of like lurking evil that I was mentioned. So he, at a glance, he's like, oh, he's very attractive. Has these humanoid facial features and a torso. But then as you study him a little closer, you see his arms and legs are just longer, and then they turn into kind of these scarier claws, and his feet are very inhuman, actually. So
there's a method to the madness when we do these things.
Well, I guess it's time to go into the actual kit.
Ooh, the
I guess next. Oh, would you like to do the voice pack?
I think we're going to do voice pack first, because this is a very special voice pack.
Yep, that's true.
Oh, he does?
Yes, we have Doug Cockle, a well-known voice actor who voiced Chernabog. He's most well-known for his work in the Witcher series of games. He's also been in many TV shows and movies. He's appeared in Band of Brothers. He was in a Captain America movie, a really cool movie about dragons called Reign of Fire that I'm definitely going to go see now.
We're getting some big name people for voices just lately.
Oh, and big collaborators on our lore with Ian, and then voices.
We were talking the other day about the Apollo rock skin. Found out it was One Punch Man.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, Tina is like the voice acting network kingpin. She's like best friends with some of the biggest voice actors. All right. I'm sorry.
Chat's gonna get upset, and so's Pod.
Tina's been doing amazingly.
Let's go.
You might even be as good as me. How fortuitous. Of course, I am the greatest. Beware every dark place, each sinister shadow, for I am everywhere. I had a fight with my brother, and it was like night and day. No, literally.
Nice.
I created night and day.
I love the little accent on that.
It's just
it's
a
subtle.
subtle.
The sound of it, like I can hear it.
Right, we don't want. A lot of times we do go over the top on some skins and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But with gods, we like to take it easy.
Yeah, I was on the auditions with him with Tina, and when I was listening to it, I was just like, I wonder what it's gonna sound like. And then he just started going, and it was just perfectly natural, and it was just like that is what we want. And he was like,
Does
are
it
you
feel
sure?
overly forced or
Not at all.
It's just a little deeper, so he feels a little bit supernatural, but he's still very clear. He does not crazy like a monster. And the voice lines are great, clumsy, well written. I love. There's some foreshadowing to the kit even there in the taunts and jokes. Yeah. So
hold up 1 second as well though. There was a note here saying there's an announcer pack as well.
yes, that we did also make a Chernabog announcer pack.
Really?
I think that's going to be part of the Slavic event.
Oh, awesome.
So you'll get that sometime. I'm not exactly sure when. It might not be available this patch, but we did make that.
Voiced by Doug Cockle as well then, right?
Yes, of course. Same great actor. So you can have him going pentakill and stuff, but as Chernabog soon enough, which is really cool too.
Into the kit then.
Into the kit.
Let's do it.
This is an unusual one because this year, well, for some reason this year decided to not give me the abilities, so I'm going to name them.
No, go for it. Do you know what
I'm
they
really
do?
wrong, but I want to try and give it a go.
Oh, you're going to come up with your own names.
Yeah, because I've not got
great.
abilities. So
you're going to confuse everyone, Hitty Man.
You describe it, right? Okay. And tell me what it does, and then I'll tell you what we're going to call it from now on.
We can have Pawn hover it.
No.
Well, we can spend it afterwards.
He wants to name these. Let him have it.
I want Pawn to be able to show the people viewing at home the text so they can put it all together.
So he's doing it right now, actually. His passive is Heart of Cold. So if you fire 3 basic attacks into any kind of enemy humanoid, you're actually going to be sticking into a crystal mesh. And after you hit 3 successive basic attacks, you're actually going to explode them in an AoE, doing extra damage.
Does that have to hit the same target?
So actually, every target you hit is going to have a special mesh attached to them, and the stacks last, I think, 5 seconds.
Oh, so you can switch targets.
So you can switch targets.
You can,
keep
yes.
stacking. Yep.
So you see here that Odin, there's
crystals.
this crystal spikes start sticking out of him.
Yeah, we
as
did
you
something a
hit
little
him.
bit different here. So you can actually see the meshes sticking inside the Odin. So that's 2 stacks. And then when he pops that, it's going to be 3. It's also a little bit of a different effect on minions.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, they've got a little bit of a different
They're
mesh.
smaller and all varying different sizes, so there's a little bit more clear debuff effects kind of mark on the minions that just puts over their head.
Yep,
So it seems like a simple, yet quite powerful.
Oh yeah,
passive here
absolutely.
for
It's going to
Waypoint.
synergize really well with the rest of his kit. Once you start getting some attack speed online, you start hitting the late game, you're going to be getting those passive procs really often.
What did you call this ability?
What did I call it? It's Heart of Cold.
Heart of Cold. I would have said that.
I thought you were. Yeah, you.
I would have said that. That's
guessed it.
Yeah, and what's really cool is now a hunter that really gets rewarded for hitting successful basic attacks in a row, which is really cool. This is like kind of what you want to be doing anyway as a hunter, so now we're going to reward you for doing that.
Just find one hunter on my team that could do that. I'd be happy.
It can be tricky to stack this on minions in the lane as they'll be moving and shifting around a lot and stuff like that, but when you're just boxing with the other hunter and you pull this off, it feels great.
I would guess with 2 characters and only 2 support and no hunter, like you can
Right, exactly.
get both and not feel
Oh
so
yeah,
bad.
you as a support player and me too, Hindu man. Watch out, because I've had this thing stacked on me quite a bit,
blows
especially
up.
if you're playing like Kepri or something like that. You're a big old target.
And the AoE, also why it might be small, does help in the minion wave. You know, it augments the wave clear just a little bit.
Okay, let's get on to the first ability. AJ, what does this do?
So this ability is a ranged circle attack. Crystallized curses.
Yep, that's
I
right.
was thinking it would be called that.
This is, of course you did. Well, this is
for
a
2.
reference to his
Crystals.
lore, right? People
for
would speak and collect their curses, almost like venting their angers, because that was a healthy thing to do, to embrace the good and the bad. So here we have those curses turned into an ability. So this is a ranged AoE circle that he throws out in front of him. It deals damage on impact, and then it lingers there for a little while.
What does that do?
And then it explodes.
Okay.
So it deals damage on impact, and then it deals damage again on explode and roots.
Yep.
So it doesn't deal any damage during the middle part. It's just kind of warm up.
Oh, it takes a bit of a while.
Yeah,
It
and
takes
there's
3
no
seconds.
there's not a blocking volume there. That's just for effect. You can walk through the crystal.
Okay.
So it doesn't block abilities or basic attacks or anything like that. It's just a delayed explosion.
And if someone's inside that, they get rooted
At the end
of it.
Yep.
Intro deals damage. The outro does damage again and roots.
I've got to give credit to the animation team for that, because given the clear sign when it's going to detonate is really
The
nice.
effects team, yeah, and modeling actually worked on the crystal, and
That's great.
it's really cool. And the audio is great too. If you listen closely, you can hear like this kind of demonic whispering by the ability. It's got a very horror movie feel to it.
So I'm feeling Wave Clear looks pretty solid right now.
Yeah, his wave clear is pretty good.
So this ability has some really cool synergy with his next ability that Clumsy will go into.
Oh, well then.
Yeah, that's right. His ability 2 is called Vicious Barrage. And what it is, it's a wider and longer piercing basic attack. It has no extra damage by itself. And then following the basic attack, following that piercing shot, you actually get an attack speed steroid.
Oh.
But the fun thing here is that if you fire off your AO1 ability, so that's going to be his AO2, and then you have the attack speed buff afterwards. But if you fire the AO1 and throw the second shot, Vicious Barrage, it actually explodes it early.
So you'll
do the
detonate
damage and
for
the
the combo.
roots as well.
It's the old 1-2 combo.
Yeah, it's the 1-2 punch.
But then again, you got to make sure if you can hit the 2 and the 1 at the same time, and both get them to connect with the target in front, you get massive damage.
That's right.
Yeah, and especially targets with high move speed that are moving around, it can be tough to detonate that root area on them, even if you're not even trying to hit them with the 2. Like just to lead them and use the 2. But the 1 is a really good zoning ability. Either way, you can kind of lock off a whole path that people won't want to cross, and then you get a lot of flexibility with the 2, which is really unique.
And one thing that Pawn's showing off right now, actually, because it is a basic attack, it's actually stacking that passive. It's applying those crystal meshes.
Oh, it does?
Yeah, exactly.
It also
not
can
only
crit.
that, but as Pawn's showing here,
It can crit?
it can lifesteal. It's a basic
Sorry, I didn't mean to
attack.
shout down the mag, then I was more surprised that it can crit.
Yeah, it
It's
can
a
crit.
piercing basic
Look at
attack,
that.
but it does no extra damage. So it's like actually a relatively weak
So
like
it is a
line
basic
attack
attack.
ability.
Yes.
But it is a basic attack, except for hitting towers. It has all of the rules
Correct.
the same.
It doesn't actually affect towers there, so
No
that
towers.
itself will do nothing.
But yeah, so actually as like a rank 1 lane clear, it's actually pretty underwhelming because it's the same as hitting a basic attack on the whole wave. But when you combine that with the stim and its really cool synergies, it becomes a really powerful ability.
And it also applies that crystal effect.
Yeah, it applies that crystal
Okay.
effect. So
So one last thing with it too is the stim afterwards. So you can see if Pawn can just fire and then fire afterwards, he fires faster. And there's a little bit of a different change to his animation and
Oh, you can
audio
see, yeah.
and effects when he's firing the souped up basics.
yeah, with his normal basic attacks, he's kind of got his hands, his palm outwards,
he's punching
and then
almost.
now he's kind of like chopping them forwards. He's punching them.
And you get a
outwards.
little bit bigger muzzle flash explosion on his
Yep.
hands.
Okay, so you got to play around the 2 when you play against him. I can see that. That makes sense. Make sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's a 1-2 combo, so then he'll be on cooldown for a while. So you can juke him. You can juke him hard and punish him.
Well, but then he's got a third ability, right?
Yeah.
He does.
In case of those emergencies when those first 2 are on cooldown.
He does. And this
AJ.
ability is really cool. This is the one that actually, data mining got a little bit of wind of. They knew it interacted with walls, and people were really interested in that. And then we revealed a lot more detail about this one because we're really excited about this ability and it's really fun. So Into Darkness is Chernabog's dash.
It's like I named this kit myself.
Well,
you
I
guessed
love
it.
that. We know when the casters like the names, it makes your job easier, right?
Well, it just makes it better to cast it more than anything. So we're gonna say these names.
Oh, we shouldn't have called this
Whirlwind
Whirlwind
of
of
Rage
Shadow
and
and
Steel.
Darkness.
Yeah.
I love that one.
All right, so this is a dash. And at the surface, it looks like a relatively simple dash. It passes through all enemies, dealing damage and slowing. And it's a relatively, not a really fast or long range dash. But as you can see, there's an extra targeting indicator when you're within range of a wall.
Oh, we know what's gonna happen, don't we?
He goes
boys?
into the wall. And you can see he has, if Pawn will dash into the wall and turn around, you can see that he doesn't have that much time. See the target filling up? If that runs out of time, you're just gonna get popped out of the wall.
You don't come out. You don't like fire out.
You
of the
just
wall?
You'll dash out of the wall.
You
Yep.
dash out on a timeout.
Yeah,
or do
exactly.
you just fall?
You dash out of timeout.
Okay, out of timeout, or when you refire.
Yes, correct.
You will dash back out of the wall.
Can you dash into wall to wall?
You cannot.
That would be a little bit too much.
I mean, yeah, no, that's what I was just making sure because everyone's gonna be like, wait, what? A second? You could just fly through the jungle.
So this ability, you can get a little bit of obviously range extension by using it near a wall. You can go further, or you can hit twice with it.
Yep.
But the biggest feature is using the wall to evade things. So you could see when he goes into the wall that his, if you're an enemy, you will see his health bar and things disappear.
You don't see him in the wall.
He can't be. You can only see the effects. Yeah, and he can't. He's untargetable and invulnerable during the wall, so he can't take any damage or have it hit by anything. So you could be in the middle of a Vulcan ult that's overlapping the wall, and you just dash into the wall. It'll explode right in front of you, and you'll be fine. And you can dash right out. It's very strong when you learn to use it well.
Yeah, I'm looking at your looks at me, but
Okay.
it's a very strong ability. But once you go start playing around it and playing against him, you'll start noticing that he's going to be doing the same kind of patterns. You know, usually if he's dashing into a wall, he's going to dash out in an area of safety. So you can, you know, Ymir wall him, you get ready by positioning yourself kind of where he's going to be dashing out.
Yeah,
of.
enemies can really surround him when he's in the shadow if he stays there too long.
And in fact, I mean, it's kind of like Giannis, keep him away from the walls, right? And then it makes him a little bit easier to deal with because his dash isn't that far on its own.
And this ability is so fun. You can dash into player-created deployables.
Oh, you can't wait. What?
So an honor could raise a pillar, and you can stick to his pillar.
Ymir
and he's
wall?
Ymir wall too.
Kraken.
Yep.
Does Odin ring work?
Yes, I think so. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, we tested that yesterday. Oh no, he has AI. Never use Ymir.
Ymir can just
You
have
can use Kabrakan. Use a Kabrakan. You can use Kabrakan Fat Loki. Even.
Oh god. Oh no, that's not too
So
hard.
it should work. It should work.
Yes, he can. So
Vulcan
that actually
turret?
happened.
Vulcan
Yes,
turret
what you mean. No, because that's a pet.
That's a
That doesn't have
pet,
any
not
player
pet.
collision.
So look, he's
Right
in
there.
the Vulcan walls.
Yeah.
We had a great playtest the other day where I was running away. I got hit by a Vulcan ult. I took the damage, and then I just dashed into the wall to avoid like a whole bunch of people trying to follow up on me.
But this is a good thing in a weird way because you can actually like help out your Chernabog
by creating
having
a wall.
teammate throw a wall up and go, jump in it, boy.
You can,
I'm
yeah.
on my way.
Yeah, you can. That's a pretty S tier play, but it's
So
totally
I'm thinking
doable.
like I think like a support the whole
like
time.
that.
How
Oh
can I
my
save
God.
this?
Yeah, there you
Terra
go.
support
See, it does work with Odin.
could just summon wall if he's in the middle of the lane, he's not near any walls. You could summon one near him and let him dash into
Now
it.
you're gonna make me go confused because like if Terra puts the walls down, he jumps in one and she claps the walls. What happens?
So when a player deployable expires, he actually just does pop out of it.
Yeah, he'll just fall out.
okay.
He might actually ride the wall a little bit of the ways before it explodes. It's not very far. I guess half the distance.
It's just good to know these interactions ahead of text. That's
If we ever make a moving wall, he'll have some
he's gonna be
really
able to move
interesting
with it,
synergy
yeah.
with it. Yeah, which I don't think there really is in the game.
Other than just the Terra one, I guess, that he'll
It's like a
just pop out
secret
of.
deployed damage dealer that's just going to the front line on this wall that's being moved.
Yeah. So eventually, if we do make something like that, he'll be like riding a Poseidon wave
That
all
would
the
be
way
awesome,
to
though.
all the way to
Okay,
the
so
end.
we've got 1 for wave clear, 2 for good poke and a steroid.
Yep.
3 is a nice escape and a bit of a trickiness to it.
Yeah, it's got some good added utility.
Still got an ultimate though.
He still has his ultimate. And this one's called
It's
Living Nightmare.
Quite a doozy here.
Yeah, so with this ultimate, he's going to channel on the ground for 1.4 seconds, and during that time, he's actually going to spawn shadow bots of himself on every enemy, revealing them.
Wait, what? You can't see him.
If you
They
can't see
will-
the Chernabog, they're going to be everywhere.
They're-
All
the
the shadows
bots
are going to be
just-
right there.
So it's a map reveal?
It's a map reveal.
The shadow clones will spawn at every enemy, regardless of where they are.
Even in the enemy base. Well, so these shadow bots actually don't deal any damage, but every time, and they also, you can't interact with them in any way. They don't body block or anything like that. You can't hit them with abilities. They expire after a set duration as well. What they do though, is that every attack will be stacking attacks, movement slow.
So they don't deal damage, but as they attack you,
You're taking a little bit of a slow.
worse and worse.
Yeah.
This is just the first part. As you can see, Pom
Right
just
there.
used the second part.
Which is you can select
Did I
any
just
one of
see
the
that
shadows.
right?
Yeah, you just saw that right. You can select any one of your shadows with that targeter and go to them across the map. So you'll see the beam, which means that you've selected the right place.
What?
And he will head all the way over there. And we're not done yet, though, Hindu.
This is a hunter.
You
This
can
is a
use
hunter.
this technically across the entire map.
Fountain?
From fountain
You could
to
use it
fountain.
from fountain to fountain. As you see, you might end up with some tougher skill shots on ranges of that distance. But
Okay.
Are you fearing the darkness yet?
Yeah.
do you feel the
I mean, you said
lurk?
there was more, and I'm like, hang on.
There is a little bit more. So
So he reveals everybody.
Yep, he reveals
slows
everyone.
everybody
By a little bit.
Can they get away from the slow?
Yes.
Yeah, you can outpace
you
the
can
bots.
outrun the bots. You can dash and leap away from them pretty easily.
Jump over walls.
It's a relatively weak slow.
And then he can fly to any enemy on the map.
Well, you can fly to any one of the bots.
They only near enemies. So you can't really use this as an escape very well. He can't go back to his own base.
You can't target
He can't
the
go to his
ground.
allies.
Okay.
If the enemy team's all grouped up, his only choice is to fall back down or to dive into a 5v1.
Correct. So then the other thing is that once he reaches, you're going to see he has like an empowered form. What he's actually getting is a 6-second buff where he's got damage mitigations. He's also refreshing his cooldowns when he reaches there. And he's also got a 30% movement speed.
Full cooldown refresh?
Full cooldown refresh.
So I've got this right. In laning phase.
In laning phase.
I land my 1-2 combo.
Correct.
I then get engaged and I dash in the wall, dash out. Then I ult into the sky.
Yep.
And then land on them, and I've got all my cooldowns again.
Correct.
It's harder to use than you think.
I'm just talking at a base level of understanding that, that's all.
In a lot of cases, you'll see that you'd rather just be able to drop Hui Suns or like on her deal line damage. Because this has really unique applications. Like when you're defending a Phoenix and the whole 5 enemies are right in front of you, like going up and right back down into them is not the most useful thing. But when this really shines is there's 2 things really. One is the information, right?
Yeah.
You can use it to reveal. You can see if enemy team's pushing objectives. And then go to try to counter them. You can use it to stop split pushing really well. It's really funny. You can counter split push.
But he can split push too in zone, right?
No, he has to go to an enemy.
Yeah.
So they'll be there to defend
he
you.
can split push and then like...
And then fly to the enemy.
Yeah, he can. He could, yeah.
Away, right?
Sure.
Right, and then it doesn't do anything to the enemy upon landing. You know, there's no damage or CC or anything like an ultimate. So he just buffs himself. So even after he gets there, the Chernabog player has to follow up and land a bunch of skills and basic attacks to do anything.
Yeah, there is no damage by itself associated with the ultimate. It's all coming from yourself.
There's no free damage.
He gets some damage mitigation, and he also gets his cooldowns.
And increased movement speed.
And movement speed.
And also, every one of your shots while you've got that buff will proc your passive. So you'll see right here, every single shot's doing that AoE.
May God have mercy on our souls. Oh, Chernabog's a god, so...
Yeah.
It's a
He
very
has mercy on our souls.
It's a very unique ultimate. It does a lot of things that you normally can't do in Smite. You really, if you're playing against Chernabog, it's like that new WoW feeling, but worse. If you're low health and like trying to hide somewhere, you better recall.
Yeah.
So
or
yeah,
you're
that's-
gonna pay for it.
So that's actually the funny thing, because the shadows don't do any damage themselves, and if Chernabog doesn't go right towards you, you can just recall while the shadows are attacking you.
Huh. That's a good point.
You got a lot of ways to evade it, and you can bait him into getting like diving and then getting ganked by enemies and stuff like that.
There's gonna be some greedy players that are gonna be flying around.
There's gonna be a
with him,
lot
right?
of greedy players.
It has a lot of very interesting tactical choices to it, which is really the best thing about the ultimate. You know, we wanted to be careful to avoid any sort of like instant unmissable damage, so all of this is very much dictated by player choice and strategy.
I like this target as well, during the ultimate. Like, it seems to be quite easy to connect with.
So the target is a little bit different. It's actually got 2 sections towards it. The first part is actually just kind of like a cursor, while the outer larger circle is your actual selection radius.
Right.
So this is a lock-on targeter, so it'll choose the god closest to center.
That little red beam.
So the big area is all viable options. So there's like if there's only one enemy in the area really far away, it makes it a little easier to hit. But then the center circle will help you kind of choose from a group of people which one you want to target.
That's cool. That's really nice.
It's a super unique ability with a whole ton of like strange applications and player choice involved.
Now you mentioned a little bit about playstyle of this. Clumsy, what kind of playstyles are we looking for with this? Who's he good with? Who's he good against?
So early game, he's got some pretty high mana costs, and while he has, you know, kind of almost 2 wave clear abilities, they actually don't do that much damage early. Their base damage is pretty low. Their scaling is, you know, gets there later on. He pairs really well with anyone, you know, another guardian that can help deal damage in lane, as well as lock people down. Because if you notice, the only CC he really has is, you know, some slows and a root. It's a 1-second root at all ranks. It's not very much. So if you have someone like a Ymir, a Geb, a Sylvanas, they can help lock enemies down for you to deal damage to.
Who does he struggle against?
Well, he struggles against fast characters. So characters like with a lot of movement speed
Susanoo.
stims. Yeah, Susanoo, Soul, because they just have high base movement, or like Hell even, because they're the heal and they're having this like movement speed. Kukulkan, his 1-2 combo actually takes a good bit of time to deploy, and you like those characters, even if you lead them perfectly, they can like see they're in the area and you turn out in time. So that's why the Guardians that Clumsy mentions he plays well with, he really appreciates the setup. Because then he can hit his 1-2 combo and a follow-up basic like really consistently. And if he has fast movement speed characters against him, it's so hard to hit the 1-2 combo on like a full movement speed boot, like a boots and another movement speed item like a katana. It's so hard to hit an assassin moving that fast because they can just juke out of it. But you appreciate the setup, and you got to watch out for those fast characters.
So he's gonna be careful of CC and obviously fast guards.
Yeah. Also,
Mercury's
his
on his
ultimate, when he goes up into the air, it's a 1.4 second channel time, which is a little bit longer than some of our other ones. So if you can really nuke him down during that period of time, you're gonna get him really easily.
Gotcha. So it just says he's trying to take off.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, we've definitely done that in playtest a few times.
Oh, absolutely.
It's kind of like the Apollo fallacy, where Apollo's is even longer, but you get afraid, so you try to ult out, and you're like, oh, that wasn't even close. I did not have enough time to get out. I died. That can happen here too.
That's a heads up for the games when you guys start playing him, then, to make sure you ult early if you're in trouble.
Yeah, it's definitely a better engage ult. It's designed to be that, and it's very bad as an escape, really.
Okay, well, that's a play style. Now, he does have a recolor as well, I believe.
Yep, that's right.
The Diabol?
Of course. Diabol.
Diabol.
It's a fancy word for devil or demon.
Ooh. That's what I was thinking, too.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Effect too.
Yeah, and this god is so special, we even got ahead of ourselves, right?
Yeah. We wanted to go, like, a lot of times when you do recolors, you try to find a nice bit of colors that harmonize well, but like is so different from the original. With this, we got a really unique opportunity to kind of do an inversion almost. Like, we were like, oh man, if we just like took the dark parts and made them light, and then the light parts made them dark, how would that look? And it felt really cool.
It looks really cool.
It still completely synergizes with his kind of dark demon.
Yeah, it still looks super creepy. Like, you don't want to see this guy coming around.
It is. It's a great recolor.
I've also got down here as well the mastery skin.
Yes, I think this is the
What,
the
he's
first.
gonna have his mastery skin too?
In the same patch, he's got mastery skins.
Oh snap!
How about that?
Yes.
Hell yeah!
Props to
We're
the art
working
team on this.
overtime over here.
Ben's team really good. And that's what I was saying. We're getting ahead. So here he is creeping out of a shadow wall, which I love the reference to the kit here. He's actually like falling off the wall, which he can actually literally do.
I will say there's going to be a lot of fans who are going to be upset because they have like mini games where the new god comes out, they try and get it to diamond before the skin.
Right.
The mastery skins are out.
They can
and
still
now they can't.
They can still now, but they can actually show off that they're the first diamond
Hell
Chernabog.
yeah.
They'll actually be able to show you that before the patch.
That's
Normally
true.
you'd have to wait, and no one would be able to see that you're diamond except for the loading screen. Now you can really show that off. So I love how the art team did.
I really
his,
like the legendary one.
I mean, legendary is my favorite.
It just
for
looks
most skins,
so
but
sweet. The black and gold is just, they really augment each other.
I love the wings. The wings just like tilting, changing color is great.
His anatomy with the crystals and the demon skin work really well for these master.
We were able to kind of get some of the gold in the wing
inside
too.
the wing membrane.
Yeah, it's a little little translucent, and the gold shining through is really nice.
And then the diamond.
I love how it was and then the diamond. But
No,
it's still
I
a
mean,
diamond.
it's set up like it's got. You don't have to say much. Just look at that.
And one thing Ben and I were still looking at is we know the diamonds looking a little greener sometimes in some of these characters has to do with some complex ways that materials interact, which is like a fancier word for texture to spare everybody the details. Ben does like his technical words.
Hey, I'm sorry.
What'd you throw out? Transmission. And, caustic.
Caustic.
Lighting or something earlier.
My new favorite one is Fresnel.
Fresnel, yeah. So we're looking into that one. That should end up a little bit more blue by the time the patch actually launches.
I'm really excited about this new guy coming to the game. It's going to be very exciting to see him get played. Chernabog is going to be very exciting.
Super exciting, God.
Our favorite thing in the patch, guys. We'll just go through that real quick. Clumsy?
Come on.
There's
That
no
was a hard one, right?
Chernabog. I got to work on that.
I mean, I'll switch it up and I'll say Divine Uprising because it's about 3 new gods.
That's true.
So what's better than 1 new god?
3 gods.
3
Three
new
new
gods.
gods.
And what's better than 1 new pantheon? 3 new pantheons.
Ben,
so
what about you?
it's huge.
Chernabog, man. That thing, like it was a labor of love by all departments, and we all like nailed it. So I think as a team, that right there takes the cake for me.
Thanks a lot, guys. For me, it's Fat Loki. Just
Oh
so you all know,
yes,
Fat
I
Loki.
mean the internet agrees with you. I was
Fat.
checking while I was off camera, and
It was like play Loki without feeling bad about playing Loki.
Reddit comments about this patch were 99% Fat Loki, and then 2 other people like, oh, new god, I guess that's cool.
Well, thanks a lot again for this week. And you guys at home, first of all, PTS should be around available on Friday. There's already been information about the patches coming forward. You can find all that information on SMITE Game and on Reddit as well. All the usual social media places. But before we close, just want to make you all aware as well, Harris has released a new game on mobile, Paladin Strike. You should give it a go. It's free to play, and it's a lot of fun there. It's got a MOBA elements in the Paladins universe, so it's a mixture of both Smite and Paladins in one. And it's free! Yes, I'm selling it you, because it's good, and it's still free! Over 1 million players have already played it as well, so make sure you go and check it out, and upvote it and say it's good. Because then maybe we'll make more mobile games and maybe get a Smite one. I don't really know that. I just hope so. But in the meantime, from everyone here at Harris Studios, as always, we'll see you again on the next Patch Note Show.
Darkness descends.